Honeybees most likely originated in southern Asia. They derive from the ancient lineage of cavity nesting bees that arrived from Asia around 300,000 years ago and rapidly spread across Europe and Africa. The oldest form of beekeeping in which hives were kept for the purpose of collecting honey took place at least 5,000 years ago in ancient Egypt. Egyptian beekeepers would actually transport hives with the changing of the seasons, keeping up with the spring blossoms on donkeys, and possibly even boats going up and down the Nile. They are known for their construction of perennial colonial nests from wax, the large size of their colonies, and surplus production and storage of honey, distinguishing their hives as a prized foraging target of many animals and humans. Only 8 surviving species of honeybees are recognized, with a total of 43 subspecies. Though historically 7 to 11 species are recognized, honeybees represent only a small fraction of the roughly 20,000 known species of bees. The best known honeybee is the western honeybee, which has been domesticated for honey production and crop pollination. The only other domesticated bee is the eastern honeybee, which occurs in South Asia. All honeybees are social insects and live together in nests or hives. The honeybee is remarkable for the dancing movements it performs in the hive to communicate information to its fellow bees about the location, distance, size, and quality of a particular food source in the surrounding area. Bees live on stored honey and pollen all winter and cluster into a small ball to conserve warmth. Larvae are fed from the stores during the season, and by spring the hive is swarming with new generation of bees. There are 3 types of honeybees: drones, which are males and only present in early summer, workers, and queens, which are females and have stingers. Queen honeybees are larger and longer than other bees. Queen honeybees lay over 3,000 eggs per day during the peak season. Male drones develop from unfertilized eggs, and females and queens from fertilized eggs. Eggs hatch in 3 days and then develop into larvae that are known as grubs. All grubs are fed royal jelly at first, but only the future queens are continued on that diet. When fully grown, the grubs transform into pupae. Queens emerge in 16 days, workers in about 21 days, and drones in 24 days. After emerging, the queens fight among themselves until only one remains in the hive. The old queen and the majority of her workers typically have left the hive by the time the new queens emerge. The swarm, which typically reproduces during swarming season, may form 2 or more new colonies at different nesting sites. Bees collect nectar from flowers. Nectar is the sweet liquid that entices the bees to the flower. The bees climb onto or into the flower and suck up the nectar with their straw-like mouth and collect it in a little sac called a crop. They also collect pollen on their legs. As they move from flower to flower, they leave a little bit of that pollen on each new flower they visit. That's called pollination, and that's how flowers reproduce. A honeybee that is away from the hive foraging for nectar or pollen will rarely sting, except when stepped on or are roughly handled. A typical beehive in the U.S. can produce anywhere from 10 to 200 pounds of honey in a year. Honeybees will actively seek out and sting an intruder when they perceive the hive or honey is threatened. They are often alerted to the danger by the release of attack pheromones by other honeybees. Over the past decade, entire hives have been mysteriously dying off. Researchers call this phenomenon colony collapse disorder. In fact, some areas nearly 90% of the bee population has disappeared. Scientists are working to help prevent disease and infection within the hives and research the impact of pesticides on bees to prevent colony collapse.